All right, well, here we are, Jeremy. Thank you again for your time and welcome to the show, man. How's it feel to be Jeremy today?
Oh, it feels good. Every day you wake up, you're above ground. I think it's a good day. So
Yeah, yeah. Breathing, open your eyes, can see, can hear, can smell, can touch, can feel. It's a beautiful blessing. These little things that we take for granted so many times.
started a relatively, let's say, blue collar high school in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, and from there I went to did bioengineering in my undergrad. Spent some time at NIH. I was doing that. Spent some time at GE. I actually did a Y2 campgrounds for upgrades back in the day for GE, and I was at NIH this summer that the genome project broke, so it was kind of a big deal. I had nothing to do with it, but I was there.
Yeah.
So then from there, I got to medical school in Cincinnati. Did some cool stuff when I was there. I was a bouncer, a doorman at a club, kicked out some NFL players, played some rugby. But went from there to residency, did residency in Youngstown, Ohio in general surgery. Won a couple of research awards when I was doing that, and then I went to University of Michigan to my fellowship in emergency surgery, trauma, and critical care. So I'm board certified in general surgery and critical care. I got a couple of national research awards, and then from there I started this app. It's called Surgeon, which is a social media company for surgeons, and me and my two partners have been working on that for about 5, 6 years. That's where we're at in LA right now. The worst day of my life was it was an arson. There's six people in the house. It was burned down because some other kid had thought that a person living in that house had stolen his cell phone.
Oh
So he
no.
burns the house down. There's four kids, a mom and a grandmother. And this was after, like, I come in at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever I got in that morning. I'd already had to code a guy in the ICU because I was covering the ICU. And then I get this call. These six just black bodies come rolling in. And it is just, I mean, it's a nightmare.
Hmm.
All this happens. None of them survived. They were all just completely burnt. And it's probably like 10 o'clock in the morning by the time, 10:30. I look at my watch. I still have to work another 30 hours. Like, I don't get off till the next day around noon, 1 o'clock. So I was not trained, and none of us really are trained at how do you process this, how do you manage this, how do you go through it, and it's one of those things that the accumulation of those kind of events over the course of a decade, 15 years of doing it, it eventually will cause you to have some issues, and that was the thing I didn't really realize early on, because I always thought that you could like logic your way through, you could think your way through these things, and I was, our whole career is based on our intelligence, our ability to take tests. Like nobody really said that at some point the emotions are going to get you if you don't figure out how to deal with them. And eventually I had to, and it led to a point where events like that I couldn't talk about them. They just shut down. And I realized how people that go through that kind of post stress, that I mean, surely it's PTSD kind of thing. If you're going through it, you'll blind yourself to those events. Like they'll affect you in ways you can't understand, but you won't even be able to remember them. And I had to go through special therapy and stuff, and then like all these images would come back, and I was like, man, what happened? It's because I buried them so deep under so many other images that I really had a tough time. Man, it was affecting my life, and I had to go through and learn how to deal with that, learn how to manage it. And as a big dude that works out all the time, like I don't look like that guy, and so it was even tougher to go against that hyper masculine look and be this guy that has to actually figure how emotions work. And so that was really a complicated part of my career that took and I see it happen all the time with guys, men and women that they see something pretty bad and it'll crack you. Well, there's a lot of surgeons that people think are just assholes, we'll say. Like they're always on you, they're always but until I was in the role and I understood the amount of pressure and stress they're under from a couple of things. One, the expectations of themselves. Like, don't make a mistake. Don't like everything. I got to control because you want to control as much as you can because whatever goes wrong, you want to at least feel like you did everything you could to prevent the bad thing from happening. Even though most of the time the controlling of it doesn't make a huge difference, probably in outcome. I mean, there's things that we know make a difference, the top three, four, five major, but outside of that, you're really just trying to maintain control because that makes you feel better about what you're doing for that patient. But the other part is you want that same from everybody around there taking care of the patient. You want everybody to be thinking about this patient because it's the most intimate thing you could do to somebody. I mean, you're touching them in a way nobody else will ever touch them. You're touching them literally from the inside. You're touching organs in a way they're giving you their 100% of their trust to do this. And a lot of people around you, and I'm not saying the nurses and the other staff don't get it, but I don't think they really do get it. I don't think they understand when that person sits in your room and they talk to you and they say, I'm going to do this for you and you tell them the patient that, like they're assuming that you're gonna make sure that they go to sleep okay, the surgery goes perfect, they walk out of there and they have no problems. That's what they think, and they're asking you to do that, and so you put it on yourself to make sure you give that to them. And so those surgeons, a lot of times, they're fighting with they want everybody else to take it as seriously as they do because for them it's an emotional bond. And I don't think that the population sees them as angry but it's because they want that standard to be here because these patients are that's what the patients deserve. That's what they're asking for, and that's a lot of where that disconnect comes from, that anger comes from. I live in an area about city's about 40,000. The area around is about 250,000, and it's sits an hour from Toledo and Dayton, and then 2 hours from Detroit and Cincinnati. So it's in the middle of a crossroad. There are actually a bunch of major cities, but in and of itself, it's where we build the tanks for the U.S. Army. It's like they're all built in our town, and
Okay.
it's an old industrial city. So the market's not huge, and there was a gap we found kind of in the middle. So there's a lot of low end apartments, and then there was a lot of high end when they bring in professionals. They have to have a place to stay, especially short term. But there was just nothing in that kind of middle. So we purchased these. They were originally low end apartments, so it's a 350 a month to 500 a month. Now this is 5-6 years ago, it's pre-COVID, but they were down there. And then we basically turned them into $800 to $1,000 a month, $750 to $1,000 a month rentals. And that, of course, as you know, I mean, from a value standpoint, we pretty much doubled the values on them. And then we had some that were fully furnished, and we were putting those out for professionals coming through the hospitals, and those are a premium too, above that. And those we originally got them at $350 a month. We were charging $1,200, $1,300 a month for. Wow. So it allowed us to. Now the renovation is the other thing. I mean, we're just it's my wife and I. It's a small company kind of thing, and to renovate 45 little apartments is still renovating like 45 small houses. I mean, that's not to time it right, to get them to move the ones you have to move if you have to get them to make a deal with you, to they switch the properties or whatever, so you can open up the apartments and get them done. Unless you just kick everybody out and redo them all, which we didn't have the capital at the time. We had to do this on a rolling process, so it's kind of churning through these, and then you have this difference of old level apartments mixed with these nicer ones to make sure that your clientele gets along, even though there's a little bit of a difference in socioeconomics of the two levels. So Surgeon's it's an international social media company built for surgeons and other, we'll say, proceduralists, but it's a place where we can go that patients can't actually see, that the general population can't watch, where we can have conversations about how surgery's done, videos of how we're doing it, really have some of the deeper conversations into areas that the public doesn't necessarily need to see. I mean, surgery is a dangerous business, and sometimes things don't always go well. But even beyond that, just that where it's a little more comfortable for doctors to be. And then we also have PAs and nurse practitioners. And eventually we're looking at expanding to nursing too. It's mostly for education, but if you think of it, it's kind of like a conference in your pocket. There's education, there's socializing, and then there's a lot of industry support, teaching, and going back and forth with them to help them develop new and better technologies. So it's been really successful. We just expanded to EU, UK, and Canada, and then we're going to be rolling out the rest of the world over the next 6 to 12 months.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations on that, man.
Yeah. It's its own type of real estate.
Yeah.
The computer real estate.
A whole nother business. And do you have a company that's doing that, or are you still kind of like bootstrapped, or do you have employees?
Oh, no, we have employees. We're actually, the reason we're in Long Beach right now, because we do basically a television show for surgeons, and we'll be interviewing some of the key opinion leaders in one of the biggest conferences of our year. But we'll be here. We're in Harvard next month. We're at '𝗥𝗲𝗹 and moving on. So we'll be all over the country, and then we're actually in France and Rome doing interviews later this year. Wow. So it's growing into. We've gotten a lot of really good support from industry, from surgeons. We have about 17,000 surgeons on it, which in the world of surgery, that's a lot of surgeons. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty. If we were a society, I think we'd be the second largest or third largest in the country.